Right, hey guys, today I'm going to do a bubbler run video for all those that have been asking about how to run a 4-inch bubbler. It's not that complex, it's pretty simple. I'm going to try and keep it as close to Mac's tutorial as possible, and it'll all be pretty simple. I'll just run you through the process. So I'm just running the glass duck here. I've only got the 4 plates in. I'll fill up my boiler. I don't need to show you how to do that. That's all pretty simple sort of stuff. So the first thing you need to do before you turn your power on is put your water on. So turn the water on. Make sure the RC tap is open. That was shut from the last run. Wide open, so then you know you can hear the water running through that. Mine recirculates back into a tank. Safety first. I've got a fire extinguisher there in case I need it. I shouldn't, but just in case. Got all my cuts jars there. Yep, they're pretty dusty, but I work in a shed, so that's just how it goes. You'll also notice I've got a fair bit of that blue shit on a couple of my plates there. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'll just take a bigger force cut. That should all wash out. If you're uncomfortable doing that, give it a citric acid bath before you start. Clean all that shit off and freshen it up. It's just that I haven't actually run this still for a long time. Since I had the mother duck, so I don't use that. I guess we'll get going. I'll turn the elements on. I've got a 3600 running through onto the boiler, and I'll have the 2400 running on my power controller. But for this run, for all of the benefit, I'm not going to use a power controller. I'll just use just the 2400 watts. So just to show you can run the 4-inch off just the 2400 watt element, and we'll go from there. Alright, I'll see you back when she starts to do something. Righto, so while I'm waiting for this to heat up, I will just go through a few safety things you really should do when you're going to run your still. Number one is be ready. So, you know, go to the toilet before you start, make sure the wife's okay, put the kids to bed, do whatever you got to do beforehand. You want to give this a good 2 or 3 hours uninterrupted. If you need to go for a leak during, you're just going to have to hang on, or you're going to have to shut it down. Definitely, if you've got to take a crap, we all know not to crap in empty cardboard boxes and set them on fire, because that definitely doesn't work. We've heard that one. But so the key to it is make sure that you're here. Never leave the still. You never know what might happen while you're gone. You know, something could break, or someone could come in and turn something on or knock something over. You know, kids and animals don't mix with stills either. Just keep them out of it. It's just so much easier. You don't want your kids burning themselves, or you know, picking up something they shouldn't, or drinking something they shouldn't. So, you know, let's just be safe about what we're doing here. It's a great little hobby, but we all need to make sure we're doing the right thing. Don't drink while you're running the still. It's just not worth it. I know we all think we're going to have a couple of drinks and be fine, but you're just better off having your wits about you in case something does happen. You want to be able to you know, quickly react to whatever happens. So no drinking. Don't drink from the still. It's coming out way too high. Just, you don't need to. Just everyone behave themselves and have a bit of fun running these things. So we're just coming up to boil, not too far away. So I'll be back when that happens. So things are starting to move now. Boiler's going alright down there. Key is don't overfill your boiler, otherwise you'll end up with puking problems and your plates are full of crap. So I'll leave mine a good inch or two down. A couple of inches is good, especially if you're doing an AG or something with grain in it. So as you can see, it's starting to work its way up. Now I'll leave that in until I can see reflux starting to come back off the RC, and then I'll unplug the 3600. That looks like it's loaded, but it's sort of not. It's just carrying on. It'll clean up momentarily. So once I start getting a bit of reflux coming back down into the top plate, I'll unplug the 3600 and just run just on the 2400. Okay, so 3600 is unplugged, and you can see the reflux coming down there. That top plate's about to load up. You can see there's a fair bit of gunk and shit in it, but that'll clean out as it goes through. They'll end up back in the boiler. Won't be a problem. So we'll just wait for that to load up, and while we wait for the plates to load up, I check for leaks. So I've got a little mirror. Alright, so you can buy them from, you know, cheap shop something like that, or pinch it from the dentist next time you go. And all you do is just go around and just check all your joints, and if you've got a leak, you'll see the glass will fog up. Okay, so just go around, you go around all your joints. I go around all my glass, whole lot, all up around here, everything. Just give that a quick check over. If you do have a leak, you unfortunately you're just going to have to turn off, let everything settle, and then pull it apart, clean your seals or whatever it is, put it back together and fire it up again. So that's just unfortunate, but sometimes you do. I had a couple of leaks in that bottom clamp earlier, but I've since pulled them apart, give them a clean up. So now you can see the plate starting to load. Down comes, plenty of liquid coming back down. So they're all loaded now. So now is the time to start your adjustment. Now some people like to let it reflux for an hour and all the rest of it, but doesn't sound like Mac ever did, and I never have. I start collecting fours now at a drip or two a second. So now's the time to play with your RC valve. So you know, do a couple of turns like that. That's about one turn, and just leave it for a minute or two. You might need to leave it for 3 minutes and just see what happens. The way to tell if anything's happening is to just touch this top part here, and if you feel that getting warm, you know you're starting to push something through. So I can feel a bit of heat there already. It's because I've got a fairly small RC. Mine's only about 70 mil long, whereas if you've got a 150 or something, it might take a bit, few more adjustments to get it to come through. And all you're looking for is to get a drip or two a second out of there. So just keep adjusting slowly, and until you start getting that. And once you've got that drip or two a second, then you want to get your fours out. So I'm probably going to take probably 300 mil of fours. So that'll probably take 20 minutes, half an hour anyway. So it's plenty of time for the refluxing to be doing its thing. And I'll be back when we get to there. Okay, so she's all running alright now. I've adjusted my RC, and as you can see, there's a bit of a dribble coming through. That's probably a bit more than a drip or two a second, but just sort of let it dribble out. It might be a little bit quick. You might want to just turn it back, quarter of a turn. That was 4 turns on my RC on my gate valve. Now, they're all going to be different. Like I said, my RC is a little bit different. It's a bit shorter. Mine only takes about a minute to adjust. Well, to change after adjustment, whereas a bigger one will take a bit longer. Could take you 3 minutes. You'll get to know your still, but I'm pretty happy with that. That's a bit of a dribble. I might crack that back quarter of a turn and just bleed off 200 to 300 mil of fours, and then we'll start looking at collecting. So there you go. That's dripping out, dribbling out, I suppose you'd call it. I've done about 200 mil there, so I'm going to start slowly adjusting my RC to cut the water off to get that a little bit quicker. So once again, once you know your machine, you know it a bit better, but let's just go with quarter turns to start with and just see what happens. So I know I'm going to wait about a minute, and that should change quite a bit. Once I get a bit of a stream out of air, I will shut that tap off and let the parrot fill up. There's a bit more of a stream coming out now, so turn that off. The alcohol meter in there, don't drop it, otherwise you'll crack it. Jar number 1 in place, ready to go. So the key to setting your RC is just be patient. Do small increments until you get to know your machine. Just do a little bit by little bit, give it time. It doesn't matter if it takes a little while. You're better off getting a better product than end up with smearing or stuff like that. So just take your time, be patient, and you might find you have to do 1/8 of a turn if it's too much. So what we're aiming for out of here now will be 2.5 litres an hour. So you should, I've marked all my jars at 300 ml, so it should fill that in about 6 to 7 minutes. I'm not that anal on exact timing, but I sort of go by the look of the stream, and I might count one every now and again just to make sure I'm going all right. And I'll see you back when we've got some output. So the alcohol meter's starting to come up now. So that's what, about 92%. There's the output. So I've changed to jar 2 because jar 1 was a bit high and you couldn't really see what was going on. So I can tell by looking at that that's probably slightly slow. I might speed it up a little bit, and I'll just let it stabilise itself and see what it wants to do, and if I want to adjust a bit more I will, but I'll only do small increments, 1/8 of a turn, stuff like that. So don't be heavy-handed, otherwise you'll be chasing it all the time. It'll be pouring out, then you'll be rushing to turn it off, and then it'll be stopped and it's going and stopping. Just be patient, it's only in heads at the moment, so if it's coming out a little bit quick, just adjustment, doesn't matter if it takes 2 or 3 minutes to come out, and adjust back, and just take your time and just try and get that toothpick size stream. This is what happens if you run a little bit too fast. Your plates start to dry up, so they're not really running properly. There's not much reflux coming down the downcomers, so I've got it running too fast. It's been a while since I ran this. I'm used to running a 6-inch, so I'm used to running a bit quicker. So I was running about 3 litres an hour, so I've backed it back so it's just just dribbling out like that. That's a better rate, and I'm starting to get more reflux coming back down. So that's just something to watch for. You want to make sure your downcomers are always running. If they're not, you're pushing it you're trying to get too much alcohol off too quick. You start doing that, you're going to get pretty smeared spirit. It's not going to separate properly, so just take your time, be patient. And like I said, if you stuff the first couple of jars up, it doesn't matter, it's only heads. So I'll keep fiddling, and we'll see how we go. So as you can see, I've now got good reflux coming back down. My plates have livened up again, and it seems to be going alright again now. I've got that set about 2.5 litres a minute. My percentage was under 90, so I've just bumped back up to 90 again now that I've slid it all down, and now it's just a matter of just ticking away at that, keep changing jars until a percentage point jump. It'll go from 90, it should sit at that the whole run now until tails start coming in, and it'll jump up a point, and then that's when I know that tails are there, and I'll strip from there. Okay, so a bit of an update. I've had to slow everything down a little bit. I was going way too quick. Plates were drying up. Plates are good now. Plenty of reflux down the downcomers, which is what you want. My percentage is up to where it should be, up to about 92, which is good. My takeoff is definitely a bit slower. Like I said, it's been a while since I run a 4-inch. I generally don't run it without the thumper and stuff, so this is a bit of a new one for me. So it just shows that you can just have a bit of a play around and get it right, and you've got a few jars of heads to get it right. So now that it's set like that, I'll just let it tick away just like that, and should be good to go, I reckon. We'll see how we go. So I've pretty much come to the end of the run. You can see alcohol meter has jumped to about 90-91, so jar 10, which is it's a little bit low. Probably, I normally get about 14 jars or something out of it, so just a little bit low on that. Must be low yield out of my wash, but that's alright. You can see that tail's there because that's the bubbles are different. You can sort of see it come through. Now it's totally up to you and how you want to do it. I personally will now strip for tails, so I'll turn my RC off completely so it's running in pot still mode, and I'll just strip out the rest of the tails. Some people like to go, it takes up less space if it's comes out at higher percentage, but to me, I've never thrown all my cuts jars in with my hearts. I've always thrown a couple of last jars for tails anyway, so to me I've got all the goodness out of it, and the rest I'll just chuck in a faints jar. So it's as simple as turning your tap right off so there's no water running through your RC, and it will just come out a lot quicker. You can put your other element back on to push it a bit harder, and strip out your tails until you're down to about 25%, and your run's done. One thing I would mention is be careful. That's going to be hot as hell in there. If you undo that clamp, quite often you get steam coming out at you, and playing with that hot liquid can be a little bit dangerous. You may want to let it cool down. That way it actually stinks less too if you're somewhere where you can't dump it with the smell. You're worried about the smell. You can let it cool down overnight and then empty the boiler in the morning. Doesn't seem to stink as much, and it's a little bit safer to work with. So anyway, I hope that that helped. It's a very simple. Mac explained it very simply in his tutorial, so all I've done now really is just put into a video. Like I said, it wasn't the perfect run for me, but it gives you an idea of how to do it. So the key is patience. Just have patience and set your RC, and then you shouldn't have to touch it again till the end of the run. So I think you've got the idea, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, see you boys.